Hello everyone, welcome back to our My 2020 tutorial series on character rigging. So in the last lesson we went ahead and did the spine and the controls for the spine. In this lesson we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our arms and our controls for our arms. So this one's going to be a little bit more difficult than traditional character rigging because our character is in an A pose. Usually with T poses it makes it real simple to create arm rigs. Because we can look straight down it through orthographics and be able to create that arm rig really easy by using the flat orthographic straight down view. Since this is off to a side, this makes it a little bit more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to let's see here, we can generate our joints going this way and use that to create our angle. We're going to have to adjust as we go so we can make it to where it'll still work for an A pose. So definitely not perfect. We'll definitely have to make some adjustments, but it's definitely still something it's not too difficult to do. Okay, so and as I'm going along, there are some things I'm going to probably want to pick on a little bit, like this pinky here. I'm not really quite happy with. I'm going to probably end up adjusting this before I actually go and get into creating the joint system for it, just because it doesn't look right to me. So bear with me, guys. I'm just going to use the sculpt brush and see if that can help give me some volume back into it. So I'm going to go to my modeling tool set, go to surfaces and sculpt geometry tool, and we'll see if I can just sculpt in some volume on it with some symmetry on. We'll bring it out, and we want to add a very low displacement, something maybe right around there. Let's see, maybe even less. So let's do 0.1. Okay, and we'll just add a little bit more volume here. Hold down shift, just smooth it out a little bit, and let's do the same thing. No, that's a little too much. Let's bring this down to 0.05. Smooth that out a little bit more. Okay, let's do that a little bit more. Just kind of have to go back and forth on this until I'm happy with it, which is about, I think that right there, I could probably live with that. Okay, sorry about having to backpedal a little bit onto our mesh, but you know, sometimes that happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our joint tool. We're going to go to rigging. We'll use our joint tool here. And to begin with, I'm going to create, I need to get a side view of this one. So I'll go to orthographic, or I'm sorry, not side, but front. Because I want my first joint to be, let's do one right here, which will be our clavicle joint. We'll do one right here. That will be our arm joint. Let's say right there. Actually, let's go down a little bit. Let's bring it right here. And then we'll do this one right here. There we go. And then I'm going to go down to where my elbow's at. So let's say right about there is probably good. Then I'm going to come down to my wrist. And I'm going to stop right here because I need to actually be able to go to the other view to be able to get my hand looking right. Okay. So that's good. I do want this joint here to be pushed back a little bit. So that way, when it comes to creating the solver for the elbow, it'll just work a little bit better. And it looks like I'm also going to have to bring this whole thing up a little bit, just because the spine's back here, so the clavicles can come back over here. Okay, so that should be okay, I think. I have to move this one over here, and this one. We'll adjust. There we go. That looks good. When you have a model who's kind of built like this, sometimes you have to make some adjustments to the joints. The orthographics is going to be a perfect fit. Okay, and it looks like this one needs to be brought up just a little bit. I guess it's supposed to be up in the wrist. Okay, and let's bring the radius down to 0.2. The radius size doesn't really matter, it makes it more easy to deal with when you do it like this. Okay, let's go ahead and add in the joints for the fingers now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to my orthographic side view, and I'll just build in my joints right here. So we'll do 1, and these joints already are too big. Let's do bring this down to 0.2. There we go. So I want a joint right here, up by the knuckle, a joint at the first bend, joint at the right before the cuticle, and then a joint at the end. I'll say right there. Okay. Now I'm just going to duplicate this one. Just bring it over here rather than having it to where I have to redraw them out. Just take it over here and tilt it a little bit. That'll be okay. Same thing with this one. Just bring it over here. Just adjust the length of the joints a little. And our last one here. Our pinky, the knuckle joint's a little recessed back further than the other ones. This one actually would technically be a little bit further down as well, but that's probably fine. Something like that's good. All right, and the thumb is a little bit of a weird animal. We're gonna create that one, but we're going to have to adjust it. So let's go ahead and we'll draw it in, but we're going to need to make some adjustments on it. So we'll say that's first joint's right up in here, next joint is down here right in front of the cuticle, and then down at the end right there. Okay, and all of these joints are set back at the origin, so I have to move these all forward to get them set in the right place. So let's just go ahead and click on each one of these, and we'll just bring all of them forward, match them up with where they need to be at. We'll do that. Follow all the stuff in the way. Let's rotate them out. Okay. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and we're going to now parent these joint chains up to the wrist joint here. So we'll select this chain, and we'll shift select this one and press P for parent. Same thing with this one, and technically you can do all of them at the same time. The last one you select will be the parent, so we'll select this one here, press P for parent, and we're done. Okay, so that's good. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and create some of the controls for this. So I'm going to select this joint here, select this joint here, that's it, the other way, this joint here, then this joint, and press P for parent. That creates the connection for it. Okay. Now what we can do is we can create an IK handle that can control our clavicle here. So what we can do is go to our IK handle tool, which is this one here that looks like a sword, or you can go to skeleton and create IK handle tool. It's the same thing. Double clicking on it will open up the submenu. We're going to make sure that we're on single chain for this first one here. So if I want to click on this one, go to that one. I make it to where now I can grab it from up here and move it around if I want it to. Okay. We wouldn't have one right in here, I don't believe, because your clavicle doesn't move up and down. There's no flexibility in that. Okay, so we can call this one IK clavicle, or we'll say arm. And we're going to say L for the left side. Okay. Next, we're going to create another IK handle, and this one's going to be, that's going to go from the arm up here down to the wrist. So we're going to double click on this one. This one is going to be a rotate plane solver. Okay, so we're going to click on the arm up here, and then down to the wrist. Okay, so that gives us control of our arm here. That's good. Let's also bring back our IK handles so we can see what's going on with those. Okay, so that's great. So let's go ahead and create a couple controls that will control the new IKs we just made. Okay, so the first one I want to control is this one down here at the wrist. So I'm going to select this box we had off to the side over here. And I'm just going to duplicate this one just because I'll probably need another one of those sometime soon. And I'm going to scale this down to go around the wrist. Okay, I'll just vertex snap it onto that joint. That's good. We'll orient it to where it fits right there on the wrist. I hit R for scale. And I'll scale it out to the side here, just where it fits around the wrist. Something like that looks good. So I'll go ahead and freeze the transforms. And I'll call this one control wrist L. And I'll add it to my left side controls. There we go. Now I need to constrain the IK handle with this. I'm going to select the control first, shift select the IK handle, and go to constrain. I'm sorry, not constrain. Yeah, constrain, point constrain. Now that works out good. Let's go ahead and test this out. So that moves our arm around good. Problem is, though, we have two issues. One, I can't control how my wrist is facing. I also can't control how my elbow is working. My elbow's working pretty good as it is because I created that bend right here. But it doesn't really give me any control on, like, if I want to say I want the elbow to face more inward or outward. It's just wherever the solver decides it's going to go is where it's going to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did for the knee, but for the elbow here. So we're going to go ahead and create a pull vector. So we're going to select the controller first, shift select, not that one, the IK handle, which is right next to it, this one here, and we're going to go to constrain, and I'm sorry, not constrain, skeleton, no, it is constrain, pull vector, sorry, brain was in cloud for a second there. Now we ended up with a problem here right away. You can see how all of a sudden it snapped like this. See how the hand turned? So that's a problem. The reason why that happened is because when we create the pull vector, it caused some twisting. Now we can probably fix that manually, or we can actually have it to where this is constrained beforehand so that this won't happen. So let's just undo that pull vector. So hit Control Z. Instead of doing the pull vector now, let's do an actual orient constraint on our hand here, which will prevent it from rotating when we do a pull vector. So we go ahead and shift select our hand here and go to constrain, orient. We'll open the submenu for it and make sure that we have maintain offsets turned on, which right now it's not checked. So if I check it now and hit apply, now this hand here is constrained by the direction of my controller here, which that works good. So I have control over both my hand or my arm and the direction my hand's facing on my arm. So that's good. Now if I do the pull vector, so I select the box, shift select the IK handle and go to constrain and pull vector, it will make it to where now it can't actually turn the hand, but it does make it to where, and actually, you know, I jumped the gun on the whole pull vector thing because I used this as the pull vector of the controller. What I need to do is actually have another target that becomes the pull vector. You can see how it bent inwards. So let's undo the pull vector. I jumped the gun a little bit on that. I apologize. Let's go ahead and just borrow this controller here, and we'll make this one the controller that makes the pull vector work. So I'll just duplicate this control here, and we'll bring it back. And we're going to start by snapping it to this elbow, and then we'll just move it straight back, and we'll freeze the transforms. Okay, so now I can select this IK. I'm sorry, select the control, shift select the IK, and then we can create our pull vector. So we go to constrain, pull vector, and then you can see there's the line that goes from here out to here, and that's what we actually wanted. That way we can use this control here to dictate where the elbow is facing. So that's good. Problem is though, that now that we have this pull vector, that when I move this around, it's not actually, we have to do two different things. We have to animate this, and then we also have to animate this so the pull vector is working correctly. So what we can do is kind of like what we did with our foot here, where when I move this, the controller moves with it. So that means that we just need to parent this to this. So wherever this goes, this will also go. And then if we need to move it manually, we can manually animate the child object. So I'll just go ahead and select this one here, shift select this control, press P for parent, and now wherever this thing goes, so does the pull vector. Now you see if I'm rotating, it's also creating some rotation based on the direction of my hand. So then you'd have to also be conscientious of that, so you could be over here animating this by hand as well. So just keep in mind that this does help out, but it doesn't perfectly solve all the issues of animation. You do have to do a lot of finessing on all the multiple controls that are parented inside the hierarchy. Okay, so before we exit out of this, so let's go ahead and make sure that this elbow's named properly. So we're going to call this one control elbow L. Okay, so that's good. And let's go ahead and also create the controller for the shoulder here. Let's go ahead and just borrow this control right here. So I'll hit Control D. I'll just borrow this one. We'll bring it over here. I'm going to have this one just face straight up and down. So I'm going to do a 90-degree rotation on it. And I'm just going to snap this onto the joint right here. I'll freeze the transforms. Okay, and this one's going to be a point constraint on this one. So control selected, shift select this one, do a constraint, and we're going to do a point constraint. Okay, so that means that I can take this one and adjust the shoulder if I need to. Okay, so that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and get this mirrored over to the other side. So we're going to go ahead and select the system here. So don't worry about this little part here. And we're going to go to skeleton and mirror joints. Oh, but I forgot to name all these joints. Ooh, I did forget something. Okay, so slow my roll a little bit. Let's go ahead and name all our joints properly. Otherwise, they aren't going to carry over the naming conventions. So let's call this one at the top here. We'll call this one BN, and we'll call this one clav left. And we'll call this one BN arm left. BN forearm left. BN wrist left. Call this one BN thumb left. BN, and I know I'm going to mess these ones up, but index left. Can't remember which ones are which off the top of my head. BN index left, or not index, I'm sorry, middle. BN ring left, and BN pinky left. All right, let's go ahead and mirror this over. Select the controls, or the joints, and we're going to go to skeleton, mirror joints, and we're going to do left, replace with right, and we'll hit apply. Okay, there we go. Looks pretty good. Looks like one thing's off is that these joints here look like they're a little bit twisted, and I think the reason why is just because the controller didn't come over with them, but the pull vector isn't there, so the IKs aren't constrained yet, so not a big tweak, just a little one. Okay, so what we can do to get this ready, and we're already over 20 minutes, and you know what, I think I'll save the controls moving over for the next lesson, because we're also going to do a set-driven key that's going to handle the fist and grab motions. So let's just go ahead and save here. We'll go to File, Save Scene, and we'll go ahead and handle the second set of controls in the next lesson. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next lesson.